really enjoyed Emerald Seaglass, but most would say it's too easy. So today, I tried to ramp up the difficulty. We're going to do that by using only bug types, as well as no held items or TMs. As well as not being able to change any natures or abilities. And of course, doing a hardcore Nuzlocke on hardcore mode. With trainers like Flannery, Winona, and Maxie, this is sure to be a challenge. For us to start the challenge, we need a starter, and we end up getting Shuckle. As you probably know, the early routes are filled with bugs, so we get a ton of encounters. We then bully this bug catcher, but little does he know, my beater's on steroids. It was now time for the first gym that just happens to be rock type. The fight starts, and I lead Surskit. Lucky for us, Anorith goes for Harden, and our bubble takes it to 1 HP. We finish it off with quick attack, and then in comes the leap. I have to decide whether to stay in and risk it or switch out, and end up staying in going for Pin Missile. Which lands 4 hits, but now it's time for the scary part, a Rock Tomb. We barely survive, but our speed falls. I figure I'm still faster and go for the Pin Missile, finishing the leap off. Last up is Nosepass, who is an absolute tank. This thing is so tanky I had to heavily speed up the footage. After some switching, I figure out my best case scenario to take this thing out is Ninkata, where I go for 2 stand attacks, lowering its accuracy. For some reason, Ninkata has Absorb, and in the battle of attrition, we end up winning and getting our first gym badge. We make our way to Dewford, and it's time for the second gym. I take Beautifly out of the box, and we're ready for the gym. I lead with Beautifly and go for a Gust, which ends up getting a crit and taking out Makuhita. In comes Heracross, who is 4 times weak to flying, so this should be easy. But he goes for a bulk up, and our Gust doesn't even do that much. We then get chunked by a knockoff, and Gust barely takes it out. Last up is Meditite, but Beautifly is looking pretty weak. So now I have to make a decision of who to switch into, and I end up going with Yanma. Yanma has Sonic Boom, and this early in the game, it's a pretty good move. Meditite decides to set up, but I just go for Sonic Boom. It then goes for more screens, while we just chunk it with Sonic Boom. And then we finish it off, getting our second gym badge. After beating the second gym, we got some evolutions, but then sadly our Masquerain didn't get Intimidate and ended up with Water Power. The last evolution is Ninkata into Ninjask, and in this game it has the Dark typing and the ability Sharpness. Before the third gym, we get either Volbeat or Illumise, who have new secondary typings that might actually make them good. We end up getting Volbeat and we're now ready for the third gym. The fight starts and he ends up having a Volbeat of his own. The Volbeat's not long for this world, and after 2 Night Slashes, Volbeat goes down. Falafi then comes in, and after a close call, we end up taking it out. However, he ends up sending in Manectric, which is the scariest mon on his team. I decided to send in Shuckle in case he tries to set up. I end up going for Struggle Bug to lower his special attack. I see him go for Howl, so I use Encore to lock him in. I switch in our newly evolved Ariados to get some good damage. My plan is to use Nightshade, as at this part in the game is pretty good. While he's locked into Howl, I whittle him down with Nightshade. After the Encore ends, he ends up using Thunder Wave, but we break through and end up picking up the KO. In comes Magneton after a long stall and some close calls. We end up picking up the kill and getting our third gym badge. After Watson is Flannery, which is sure to be a challenge. Before that though, we end up getting Pineco, and then shortly after that we get Paris. It's now time for Flannery, which going into this I thought would be a massive challenge, but as you're about to see, it ended up being a complete joke. Masquerain comes in and clicks Bubble Beam 4 times. That's it. That's the fight. After Flannery was a joke, we get to evolve our Pineco into Fortress. Then we get to evolve our Paris into Parasect. The cool thing about Parasect in this game is he's actually part Ghost. With our new team, I have a plan for Norman. I lead Beyblade, hoping to get up 2 layers of Toxic Spikes. With Slacking having Truant, the hope is that I can whittle him down with the poison damage. But the issue with the strategy is multiple of his mons have Facade. After a long fight with Spinda, we end up taking it down. After Spinda, he sends in Politoed, which in this game has the normal typing. I switch into my Ghost type Parasect, but then he ends up going for Dive. Which is fine by me because the poison is going to keep ticking. I go for a Leech Life to recover some health. And then Politoed ends up using Dive again and dying underwater. However, in comes Slacking, who has boosted Facade. Lucky for us, we have Shuckle, and you know what they say. My plan with Shuckle was just to stall out the poison, and we do just that. After Slacking dies to poison, it's all up to Vigoroth, who ends up going for normal, gem, Facade, and we somehow survive. All we have to do now is stall out the poison, and I decide Beyblade is the best for the job. And with that, we win our 5th gym badge. Moving along, we end up getting a guaranteed Scyther because of Dupe's Claws. Next up is Winona, who won't be as easy as Flannery. We lose our electric type Volbeat and get a clean 2-hit KO. Skarmory comes in and goes for a Flying Gem Aerial Ace, but our Shuckle eats it. This thing is a real problem for our team, so I try to Encore it into Steel Wing. After a lot of thinking, I think it's the best idea to try to put this thing to sleep, so I send in Parasect. With Skarmory locked into Steel Wing, I'll be able to eat attacks. I put it to sleep and decide Ninjask is the best counter for him. We get lucky with sleep turns, but 3 Night Slashes barely doesn't take it out. We survive Aerial Ace though, and I finish it off with Fell Stinger. Pelipper comes in and I debate trying to kill it, but I decide it's best to send it to my electric type. Volbeat comes in and picks up an easy knockout. Tropius comes in and my team's looking kinda weak, so I send in Ariados. We go blow for blow and Ariados barely survives on 10 HP. After some stupid switches and Tropius for some reason going for Sunny Day, I figure out that we need to go into Beyblade. Beyblade comes in and gets the kill with Pin Missile, leaving it all up to Altaria. Our Steel type is on the field, so I'm feeling pretty good. Altaria goes for Dragon Dance and I go for Mirror Shot and end up missing. Altaria loves to go for Dragon Dance, so this becomes a little bit of a stall match while I just spam Mirror Shot, missing a couple here and there. I think they genuinely get to +6/+6. But by the time they attack, it doesn't even do that much damage. I decided I want to switch out, but my team's way too weak. So I stand with Beyblade, hitting a Mirror Shot, and ending the fight. Getting our 6th gym badge easier than expected. To my surprise, Yanma ended up evolving, and was given the Dragon type, which would be huge for us. We finally have type advantage, and it's time for Tate and Liza. The strategy I have here is to use Struggle Bug to lower both special attack. Miss Meggy seems to be stun locked in a Calm Mind, so I decided to try to take out Claydol. We go for Pin Missile into Claydol, and it only lands 2 times. We did the same thing next turn and end up picking up the kill. Next in is Solrock, who I know has Flamethrower, so I have to get Beyblade out of there. With Miss Meggy still being stun locked into Calm Mind, I decided to target down Solrock. With Shuckle spamming Struggle Bug, it's hard for them to do any damage. Volbeat goes for Lunge, doing a big chunk of damage. Even with the sun up, Solrock can't do anything, but I decide to still take it out. As soon as Lunatone switches in, his special attack is already lowered. I target into Lunatone hoping to take it out, but it barely survives. With Miss Meggius being useless, if I take out Lunatone, this win should be ours. I take out Lunatone and put Miss Meggius to sleep, securing us the victory and giving us our 7th gym badge. Remember how I talked about Maxie at the beginning of the video? Let's just say his fight's coming up next, and it didn't go too well. The fight begins and I lead Masquerain and Volbeat. And the first turn goes pretty well with me getting a KO on Gliscor and chunking Crobat. But that's about where the good stops. In comes Dodrio, who is newly ground type in this game. And I figure I can pick up a double KO. But Dodrio has Thunderous Kick, which in this game must be an electric type move. So Masquerain goes down, but we end up getting the revenge kill with Volbeat. Ursaluna comes in and I decide to double into it and use Lunge to lower its attack. It ends up using Yawn on my Volbeat. So I decided to send out Volbeat for Shuckle and try to finish off Ursaluna. The problem is I don't pick up the knockout and they end up doubling Shuckle. I use Fire Dance to finish off Ursaluna and switch out Shuckle. But then Dodrio uses Thunderous Kick on Yanmega, lowering its defense. Camerupt comes in, so I realize that Beyblade has to get out of there. But then Dodrio uses Drill Peck and takes out Yanmega. I decide to send in Shuckle and then Camerupt uses Yawn on Parasect. Even though Parasect will fall asleep, I decide it's best to go for Spore on Camerupt. Shuckle's on red health, so I switch him out for Beyblade. And hope to get a first turn wake up with Parasect. But that doesn't happen, and Thunderous Kick lowers my defense. I decide it's finally time to take out Dodrio, and we end up taking it out. However, Parasect is still asleep, and their defense is lowered. With Parasect still asleep, it's looking like we might wipe. It sadly gets taken out by Night Slash, but we do get the revenge kill with Pin Missile. Camerupt wakes up, but luckily it goes for Yawn. I switch out Beyblade so it doesn't fall asleep, and Camerupt ends up going for another Yawn. I try to encore Camerupt, hoping he goes for another Yawn, but he ends up going for Scald, taking out Shuckle. With our Stutter now dead and Volbeat asleep, I really feel like we're gonna wipe. But then the legend Volbeat wakes up turn 2, and we max roll Pin Missile. Volbeat then outspeeds, and we somehow defeat Maxie. After getting steamrolled by Maxie, we need some help, and it comes in the form of Scizor. In the Cave of Origin, our encounter was Anorith, who sadly came with a timid nature. With the team rebuilt, it was time for the 8th gym. Which going into it, I thought would be easy, but boy was I wrong. I lead with Fortress and go for 2 layers of Toxic Spikes. I then switch in Volbeat, hoping for a clean kill, but we get hit with a Power Gem and then barely don't take it out. Starmie's very fast, so I decided to kill it with priority. After taking out Starmie, the problem in the fight comes in, Octillery, which in this game is Water and Fire. I switch in Armaldo, hoping a Rock-type move can take it out. But Armaldo's best move being Ancient Power wasn't good enough. But lucky for us, Heracross has Headlong Rush and gets the revenge kill. Kingdra comes out, and for some reason I decided to switch into Beyblade, who barely lives an Ice Gem powered Ice Beam. So I switch back into Heracross, and a close combat plus the poison damage takes it out. After killing Kingdra, I'm feeling good, and in comes Whiscash. Which could have been scary, but we have a Beautifly with Giga Drain. It goes down in one hit, and the last Pokemon is Celio. I switch in Scizor, and after a close call, Beautifly finishes the job, giving us our 8th gym badge. After those deaths, I thought it was time for some encounter hunting. But all I could find was either Dustox or Illumise. We end up getting Illumise, who is Fairy type in this game, but the nature ended up being bad. The stage was set and the final team was ready. When you look at a final team and see both Volbeat and Illumise, you know something went wrong. So I wasn't feeling very confident. I think we lost some of our best mons. Not to mention, we have 2 bug steel types in this team, so any fire type completely wrecks us. If you've made it this far, let me know if you think this team beats the Elite Four. The first challenge is Sydney, who uses dark types. The fight starts off amazing with a first impression kill. Then Hantro comes in, so I switch into Beyblade. Hantro starts going for double team while I go for pin missile. We get lucky and take out the Hantro very easily. Crawdon comes in and I'm not scared. I end up going for pin missile while they set up a swords dance. We then call it way too close and almost died to Surf, but we still end up getting the kill. Cacturn comes in and this is an easy first impression. The last mon is Absol and I see no reason not to stay in and click CC, which takes it out. 1 down, 3 to go. It's now time for Phoebe, who's going to be tough. So I once again decide to set up 2 layers of toxic spikes. After doing so, I send an Oreodos to pick up the kill. Then Banette comes in, which is normal type in this game, so I figure normal type move is going to come out and I switch in Sizzler, who picks up an easy kill with Night Slack. Then comes in Miss Magius, who in this game is the fairy type, so I switch in Oreodos, but my Spadef drops and I barely live. I then send in Beyblade, hoping it can finish it off. It survives and I go for Gyro Ball to take it out. But then the big issue of the fight's coming. For some reason, this Dusknoir has Raging Fury, which could wipe my entire team. The best way I can see to stop this menace is to kill it with poison. So I use Protect on Volbeat and then switch to my only healthy mon. But the Citrus Berry procs and I realize I have to sack something. So I send in who I think our weakest mon is, Ariados. I switch in Heracross and the thing finally dies to poison. The last mon is Frostlass and my entire team is weak. I mean literally every single mon on the team is in the yellow. After some switching, I realize I have to get into Sizor to hopefully take it out with a bullet punch. Illumise lives on 5 HP, and Scissor lives on 13 and we barely get the win. With only 5 mons left, I don't know how much further we're going to make it. As expected, I set up 2 layers of toxic spikes. After I set the spikes, it's time to send in Volbeat, who takes it out with Spark, which is a 65 base power move by the way. Then the ace of the team comes out, Walrein, and once again I figure the best strategy to take this down is to stall it with poison. So it's time for a revolving door of Pokemon. Well, he goes for some moves that don't do much damage. I want Heracross to be the Pokemon that comes in when he dies to poison, as he's a fighting type and he can put in work against Glacia. The Citrus Berry heals him up, but I go for first impression and get a crit taking him out. In comes Cloyster, who has a massive defense stat, but I go for close combat, barely not taking it out. Heracross did enough though, and it dies to poison. Glaceon comes in, and I know we can one-shot it. Glacier's last mon is Glalie, but lucky for us, Scizor has max health. So all we have to do is send in Scizor, click Iron Head, and we defeat Glacia. The last Elite Four member is Drake, and with the Dragon and Flying types, I'm not sure we're going to be able to do this. He leads Kingdra, and our newly fairy Illumise takes it out swiftly. However, a Pokemon fully countered for our team is about to come in, Salamence. This thing is higher level than the level cap, faster than my entire team, has not only Rock Slide, but also Flamethrower. And to make it even worse, it has Moxie. With all the ways Salamence counters our team, I genuinely think there was no way we were ever going to get past this. Some of the deaths earlier, like Yanmega, could have really helped us here. And with that, we lose the run. Let me know if you think we could have done anything better in this fight. And if you've made it this far, make sure you like and subscribe if you want to help me out. Also, let me know any games or challenges you'd want me to try. That's all. I'll see you in the next one.